A long time ago, in the red-earth village of Umuaka, the sound of drums rose with the sun, and children's laughter filled the air. Traders sold palm oil, yams, beads, and spices in the market square. Two brothers, Obinna and Chike, lived under the palm tree next to each other. Their father, Okonkwo, was a hard-working palm wine tapper. His hands were worn from climbing palm trees, and his shoulders bore the marks of years of hard work. Even though he didn't have much, every market day, he gave each of his sons a handful of money. "Use it wisely, my sons," he would tell them. "Money is like a seed. If you plant it well, it will feed you tomorrow. But if you waste it, tomorrow you will beg." But the two boys were as different as the moon and the sun. The sun beat down on the village of Umuaka, and the air in the central market hummed with the energy of trade and gossip. At the heart of the commotion always was Obinna. His laughter was a booming sound that cut through the noise, a signal to every vendor that the day's most generous customer has arrived. Obinna, the elder brother, didn't just shop, he also performed. He would walk up to Mama Nkechi's yam stand, his pouch fat with the money he had earned from selling his portion of the harvest. "Mama, give me the biggest yam, the one with the skin like gold," he would declare. And the old woman would smile, knowing his custom well. He wouldn't stop there. He would buy a skewer of seasoned spicy suya from the butcher's boy, a calabash of sweet palm wine, and a handful of sweet akara balls for any child who looked his way. He would admire the woodcarver's new mask and carvings, always buying one on a whim. "A thing of beauty is a joy forever," he would say. Although the joy often faded by the next market day, the mask discarded in a corner. By evening, sitting with his friends under the great Iroko tree, his pouch would be noticeably empty and slack. His friends would clap him on the back. "Obinna, you are the life of Umuaka. You make the market sing." Obinna would swell with pride. "Why keep money hidden like a seed, afraid of the soil?" he would boast, sucking the last bit of his palm wine. Money is a river, not a pond. It must flow. Better to enjoy it today than worry about tomorrow. Across the compound in the small neat hut they shared, Chike, the younger brother, would hear the laughter and shake his head with a quiet sigh. Where Obinna saw a flowing river, Chike saw the potential of cultivating his seeds along its banks. Chike went to the same market, smelled the same tantalizing smells, and felt the same hunger. But his movements were deliberate. He would buy a small pepper-wrapped cone of roasted groundnut, enough to satisfy his hunger, and the rest he saved. He watched his brother's performances with a keen eye, not judgment, but with a different understanding. While Obinna's money flowed out, Chike's was carefully guided home. When no one was watching, he lifted his mat and dropped the coins into a small clay pot, hidden underneath. To him, the sound of coins falling was sweeter than the drums of the market. Each coin was a promise, a tiny piece of a future he was building in the dark. His friends teased him. "Chike, why don't you spend like your brother? Are you saving to buy the sun?" Another laughed. "No, he is saving for a rainy season that ended last year." Chike the miser, whose purse strings are tied so tight they sing. But Chike never argued. He would offer a small patient smile that seemed to infuriate them more than any retort. One day he would whisper, more to himself than to them, "You will see the wisdom of saving. A single seed may be small, but it can grow into a forest." The seasons turned, the rains came and went, and the market days blurred into one another. Obinna's life was a continuous, joyous feast, but his heart remained empty, save for the dust gathering on various unused items. Meanwhile, Chike's pot steadily increased in weight, its contents suggesting developing potential with each movement. Then came the great dryness. Seasons came and went, but one year the skies betrayed Umuaka. The rains refused to fall, the sun scorched the earth, and the village stream, once gushing, became a muddy trickle. The harvest was meager, a tragedy that settled over Umuaka like a shroud. The market, once vibrant, grew thin and desperate. Prices soared. A single yam cost a handful of money, whereas it once cost 2. Obinna's river of money had long since flowed out, and now the well was dry. His pouch was empty. For the first time, his laughter was absent from the market. He stood at the edge, watching others trade, a hollow feeling in his stomach that had nothing to do with hunger and everything to do with fear. His friends, who had praised his generosity, were now struggling to feed their own families and had nothing to spare. Obinna became a ghost of himself, thin, silent, and ashamed. The village's spirit withered with the crops. The yam vines were skeletal. The corn stalks stood as hollow brown ghosts, and the goats, ribs stuck against their hides, bleating a constant plaintive song of hunger. A new terrible silence fell over Umuaka, broken only by the whimpering of children who cried at night with hollow stomachs. A sound more piercing than any market noise. In the market, the vibrant energy was replaced by a tense, desperate dread. The few traders who had anything to sell guarded their stalls with grim faces. A single shrunken tuber of yam became a treasure. A basket of gari, the coarse cassava flour that was the last defense against starvation, that once cost 3 coins, now swallowed a man's entire potful. The bitter argument of despairing mothers, with traders replaced the joyful cries of hawkers. Their voices sharp with fear. That's a king's ransom for a handful of meal, one would wail, her child clinging without energy to her wrapper. One night, the hunger was unbearable, like a sharp twisting knife in his belly. The pride that had once been his defining future had left him, leaving only a raw basic need. He got up from his mat, his limbs weak and trembling, and he went to see Chike. He found him sitting quietly in the moonlight that streamed through the hut doorway. The sight of his younger brother, who was surely also hungry, but who maintained a quiet, unwavering composure, broke the last of his spirit. Tears, hot and shameful, welled in his eyes and traced clean paths through the dust on his cheeks. His voice, when it came, was a cracked and trembling whisper, stripped of all its former boastfulness. "Brother," he pleaded, the words tasting of ash, "please, share with me or I will starve." It was not a request, but a confession of his failure and a desperate surrender to the wisdom he has spent a lifetime mocking. Chike looked at him in silence. Then, without a word, he lifted the clay pot from under his bed. Slowly, he opened it. Inside lay a pile of money, shining like a hidden treasure. Gasp filled the hut at the sight of Chike's savings. Obinna's eyes widened in disbelief. "I saved them," Chike said softly, "little by little, day by day. This money is not just mine. It is the seed of our survival." With that money, Chike bought food for the family. He gave some to neighbors whose children had fainted from hunger. Soon, word spread across the village that a boy's small savings has saved lives. But not everyone was happy. One night, as the moon hung low, Obinna's friends crept to Chike's hut. Greedy and desperate, they whispered, "If Chike could save, then he has more. Let us take his money for ourselves." They tried to steal the clay pot, but Chike, who slept lightly, woke up and cried out. The neighbors rushed out with torches, and the thieves fled. The next day, the elders gathered under the great iroko tree. "You see," said one elder, "money reveals the heart of a child. The foolish waste theirs and beg. The greedy try to steal, but the wise save, and by saving, they save others." Shamed by his brother's wisdom and the elders' words, Obinna wept before the village. "Forgive me," he said to Chike. "I mocked you. I wasted all I had, but you have taught me that the child who saves will never be ashamed tomorrow." From that day forward, Obinna became the most careful saver in Umuaka. Together, he and Chike taught other children to drop a few coins into clay pots each day, whispering, "Money is a seed. Plant it today, and tomorrow it will grow and you will eat." The people of Umuaka never forgot the year of the great drought. They never forgot how one boy's little savings kept families alive. And long after Chike and Obinna were gone, mothers in Umuaka still told their children, Those who save today will always eat tomorrow. The moral of the story: children who learn the value of saving early grow into confident and responsible adults. And so, dear listeners, remember this: saving may seem small, but in the hardest of times, it can be the difference between despair and survival. The story of Obinna and Chike lives on, reminding us that every coin, like every seed, has the power to change the future.